Hello there, beautiful human. Melinda Joy, Crossroads Storyteller here with our new moon cycle story for the Virgo new moon. And the Virgo new moon starts April 27th, and this is 2022. And this collective story and this collective cycle will conclude on September 24th, because on September 25th, we have the next new moon and the next new cycle story. So every month, I provide this story for our cycle, as well as at least 7 tapping videos. And all of this is to help us step further into our most true selves. So if you are interested in tarot or tapping, you're definitely gonna wanna like and subscribe. Oh yes, and today we are using the Creative Liberation Now deck and Jessica Zinchuk's Ancient Storytellers spread. So let's begin. The character or face of that we're entering this cycle with is third air. And third air is about the combination of integrity, productivity, and pleasure, and all of the success that comes when those 3 aspects are balanced and working together. So this card being in our character or face position makes me think that over the last 2 months, because this card showed up 2 months ago. So over the last 2 months, we have been stepping further into this alignment, further into the integrity, pleasure, and productivity. And because we've done that, we have more resources, more ability to find joy and playfulness in our work, and to find more productivity in our play. And this card is very much a queering of that dichotomy of work and play, which is that's a theme for this month. It's going to come up several times. Finding the spectrum in the duality. So yes, congratulations on stepping further into flow, stepping further into your personal authority and authentic alignment. And give yourself some kudos, some affirmation that you are indeed stepping further into your authentic way of being. And we may all have done that in a different way, but that doesn't matter, it's still valid. So the action for this month is the Visionary Dreamer of Earth. And this card is in place of the Knight or the Prince in some decks. And this card is about very intentionally stalking our next success. This jaguar is stalking something of value, is stepping further into something new. But the trick to this card is that even though we know what we want, and we know that we don't have it yet, but we perhaps know how to obtain it. And if we don't, that's totally fine. Sometimes the how comes to us as we step. Sometimes we don't know the entire plan. We only know each step as it comes to us, and that's completely valid. But the trick to this card is valuing what you already have. We're stepping into something new, but in order to do that, we have to appreciate what is already obtained. We have to relish in our values and honor everything that already is ours. And if we do that, our ability to catch what we are next after will be that much more sweet and enjoyable and perhaps even more efficient, like more successful. Okay. The falling action or resolution of this cycle's story is the fifth air. And oftentimes the fifth air is about leaving a mental way of being or engaging with others. However, I have the strongest feeling that this month, this card is a returning. It's a returning to an old battlefield. You may not already be conscious of it because this card is the resolution of our story, so it might become more obvious as our cycle continues. You may not already know about it, but you'll discover it this month. And so yes, there is a past battlefield that we have left that was not serving us, that was causing more pain than pleasure, and that was causing more harm than support. And so we left, and that was legitimate, and that was good. And now it is time to return. Now, that might not mean like returning to the community. It might not mean returning to the physical space, but it does mean mentally returning to those experiences, those memories, those especially the memories that we tuck away so that we don't have to feel the uncomfortable feelings associated with those memories. But this card is letting us know that the battlefield we left has been fallow long enough that now it has additional resources for us. In the same way that after a forest fire destroys a landscape, there are additional resources for other plants to grow and become. This card is letting us know this month that by the end of this cycle, we will know which battlefield, which place of mental pain is ready to be returned to and is available for additional mental resources to flourish. So part of that is re-entering fear. Fear often is a signifier of a place that has is like a boundary to clarify where we don't want to go, right? And this card is letting us know that now is the time to return. Now is the time to sort through that fear and discover the love on the other side of the fear. And part of what I think that is because this card has to do with discovering the truth in the lies, discovering the love in the hate, reading between the lines and identifying the difference between someone's pain and someone's expression of that pain, and honoring the human behind it. And of course, we can do that for ourselves. And I think that's what all of that is about, is figuring out how to do that for ourselves. Okay, so the point of view for this month is the feeler healer of earth. And I love this card. I absolutely adore the mushrooms happening and all of the plant allies on this card, because this card is letting us know that the way to re-enter these uncomfortable mental spaces, mental memories, is through an embodied state. This card is about entering our bodies, becoming additionally embodied, and doing so from a beginner's mind, a beginner's heart. And so that makes me think of when we have a sensation, a physical sensation, whether or not it's comfortable or uncomfortable, sort of researching it, getting curious about it. What is this sensation letting me know beyond the surface feeling of it? What is deeper? What is behind it? Where do the root system go for this sensation? Where is the mycelium network that this sensation is a part of? And additionally, this mushroom makes me so happy because one of the results of some mushroom related therapies is that people are reinvigorated to be present in their bodies and enjoy their physical realities, and oftentimes have a new motivation to honor what Western society has deemed sort of simplistic joys and desires. And by that, I mean like connections with those we love, and literally just enjoying being in a physical body, in a physical world, and finding all of the joy that is in the discovery experience, even if what is being discovered is not consistent with what we think of as joyful. Okay. So the roots grounding us in this experience is the visionary dreamer of fire. And this card is letting us know that the way to move forward, the way to ground into our body when we're not sure how to, the way to investigate the fear when it is overwhelming, the way to continue to step into our integrity and pleasure and productivity as one process instead of three separate processes, is with the support of our ecology, with our communities. And by that, I mean relying on our spirit guides. I mean relying on our physical support systems. I mean honoring our, like, the other members of our earth body that, or earth family, that make our life possible, and stepping into a more intimate relationship with all of these less obvious relations, because that will further resource us. That will make all of the more difficult lessons that we have this month more bearable and more generative. The theme. So the theme for this month is the essence of fire. And this card took me a moment to feel into, because this card to me represents absolute. Absolute is the very top of the tree of life. It is an aspect of reality that is only the very first step of becoming, only the very first step of manifestation. And because of that, we may not see it. It may just be a feeling. It may just be a sensation, but it's a new one. It's one we have not had before. And it is the key to what is becoming next. Because after Absolute, we have Bria, which is our emotional world, when we're feeling into it and like really exploring what it means to us. And then we get into Yetzira, which has to do with planning and thinking and sort of deciding how we want to manifest it. And then, only then, do we move into Asya, which has to do with manifestation and actually becoming in our physical reality. So the theme is that there's a new something. And the only way to know this new something is to do all of this feeling work or all of this feeling play, right? Because work and play are no longer mutually exclusive. And this additional sensitivity will make this new thing more obvious to us. And there's, like I said, absolutely no need to manifest it now. All we need to do is identify it and appreciate it as it is becoming. But the becoming part will come later. So the landscape of this month is the third air. And I love this card. It took me, when I first got this deck, it took me a moment to figure out what was happening. We have a reptilian nest here. And here's some eggs that have not yet hatched. But here we have this reptilian being, and they can see dark, they can see black, they can see white or light, but then they can also see the spectrum in between. And so this is coming back to the theme that I said about how we're stepping out of a binary, we're stepping out of dualities, and we're queering that. We're discovering the spectrum in between the two extremes. And this nuance, this landscape of mental nuance, will make other things easier, like returning to the battlefield and identifying the truth in between the lies. It's this spectral way of seeing that will support us in identifying this new thing coming. If this reading resonated with you, I would love to hear about it. Please comment, especially if there's a card that you have additional insight into. Since this is a collective reading, I would love your input and collaboration in the meaning making process, as well as if you have any stories of how this is playing out in your lived experience, that would also be super awesome to hear about. And if you're interested in sending me gratitude or finding me on social media, or what's the other thing that booking a reading with me. All three of those things are available with the link below. And definitely look out for the upcoming tapping videos. We are going to tap through each and every one of these cards throughout this cycle. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I drop one of those videos, and you can tap through each and every one simply to feel into your body, to step further into this embodiment. or you can wait for the specific card that you're uncomfortable with and tap through that one to help step further into that lesson and step through the tension or hesitancy. So much love, so many blessings.